Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to my Beautiful Nights channel. For this video, I'm going to show you guys how to make another version of a continuous necklace. Now, a while back, the first continuous necklace that I remember making was made with all Czech beads, and I had some large seed beads, so they had big holes. So I showed you the type of cord that I like to use, and how I showed you how to tie knots in the necklace. I'll put a picture up of what I'm talking about. Now later on, after I did that tutorial, I showed another continuous necklace that I made with large hole lampwork beads. And I did another continuous necklace, and I showed you how to make that with bead string wire and crimp beads. So there's no clasp in it. The necklace is continuous. You just slide it right over your head. I'll put a picture up of that necklace. And I want to say I did it again, but I do not remember what the project was. So I'll have to look through pictures. Hopefully I did do it a second time. So again, I showed how to make a continuous necklace with a thicker quality like S-line cord that I use. And I showed how to make a continuous necklace with bead string wire and crimp beads. Now this time, when I sat down to play with this box, and by the way, the project I'm about to show you, you do not have to have the same beads that I'm using to make a continuous necklace like this. You can use any beads from your stash. You can use whatever you want. You can even do pearls if you want to, all seed beads. Any beads that have really small holes, you can do this project with, okay? So, anyways, I am using the Czech Beads exclusive box. This is September's box. The theme is called Czech Beads in Colors of Nature. I'm filming this video early, so I will link this box down there below. You guys can go and get this box and come back to this video and make this project along with me. This box is available up until the end of September. So the last day of September you can get this box, okay? Now, I'm going to start with this is, by the way, this is a design with me video, and so I'm going to start with how I designed this necklace. And what I did is I edited a video, I published it, and I was like, oh, what do I do now? Do I edit another video? I'm like, well, I would really like to bead, because I've been working so much, I need a break. And so I'm like, well, I'll pop this box open, and within an hour I came up with this design, and I was so happy with it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this worked up so quickly. I have to film this. And so here I am. Now, whenever I do these design with me videos, I always tell you how I start with like a process of elimination with the beads that I think don't look good, and I go with the most beads I can get that look great together. So what I did is I laid all the bags out, and I loved these greens and the blues and the whites. I thought it was so soft and pretty together, so I put all of these here together. And I also had these, and this bag here, these are my leftovers. All of these were together, okay? And then I kind of saw how these other beads weren't really going, so I took out the red. There was only 2 red beads, so I took those out, okay? And then I was actually thinking that I could use these, because I kind of go with these, but I ended up deciding against them because they were so darn large, so I didn't do those. And this here does kind of go because of these here, and then I ended up bringing in bronze seed beads, so I probably could have used these, but I felt like I didn't have enough. I needed more. So I didn't use them because I didn't have enough. And I actually really love these orange ones, and I wanted to use them, but I decided against it because I thought it was too harsh, and this was just a soft color palette. I didn't have enough of these here. I almost used those, but like I said, I didn't have enough, okay, for the pattern that I came up with. And then I decided against those, and I actually realized when I was editing the opening for this that these remind me of John Deere tractor. And then the limes, I love those limes. I decided against those. And then I decided against the moldy lemons. You know, if you don't like the moldy lemons, I realized that you could probably remove that coating with acetone, in case you're not into molded lemons. And then this here, this totally goes with this, but I really wanted to hoard these for the barrette that I made. Remember the flower barrette? These beads, they have really skinny stems and they work in that barrette. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. And these definitely go with this. But I realized that I had a thing going on with this box where I had green and blue of the same beads. And then this here, like this was kind of an oddball, this leaf here, but I managed to make it work with this by pulling in seed beads. So I'll show you that when I go on. So I decided against these because I didn't have this size in blue. And if I did, I would have used them. Now this here, this was like the pendant for this box. And if you guys remember, there's actually, I forgot to mention, there's another continuous necklace design that I have made that you slide over your head. There's no metal clasp in it. I've done it a few times. I made a Silent Night necklace. I think it was last year for Christmas, that you slide over your head and had a large angel bead like this for the pendant, and then I had some bead dangles. I'll put a picture up of what I'm talking about. And I did that project, by the way, with a Czech Beads exclusive box. Later on, after I did that, I loved that design so darn much. I wanted to create it again, but I wanted to show you how you can make the same thing with just completely different looking beads. And so I did it again, and I'll put the picture of the project up. As you can see, same exact design idea, but with completely different beads makes it look like a different design. So I could have used this as the pendant, but I decided against it because this bead is like clear or a milky color. See, these are white. And I thought, well, I don't think I want to do that again. I think I want this one to be completely continuous. And because I decided on that, I could not use the S-Line cord that I used in the past, and I was not happy with bead string wire. The reason why I didn't go with bead string wire for this project is because it is kind of stiff, and I felt like my beads were really lightweight because I did string all these up, and it's kind of a lightweight necklace. Okay, so I decided against that, and I was going to use these, but I ended up deciding against these because I love these leaves, and I felt like to pull the leaves into this color palette more, I needed to bring in my bronze seed beads that I use all the time. So I did that, and when I did that, I realized that I could not use those. Now these beads here are just my leftovers. So I have a few, was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flowers, 2 5mm fire polish, and 2 English cut beads. Those are my leftovers, okay? So let's go over the layout of this. Oh, and by the way, I did use, counting this bag, I think I used 11 bags. Now my camera tripod is broken, and I have to rig it up on a cardboard box. I've talked about this in previous videos, but I have to make sure it doesn't fall, so I'm going to try to pay attention to that. So what I did, because of these beads here, is I went like this, okay, and I just alternated these on my board. And I'm using a wooden jewelry design board, but you don't have to have this. You can use the plastic ones with the velvet on it that I've used for most of my life. Okay, you can also just lay this down on a bead mat. You don't even need a bead board. So I went like this. I just alternated the colors, okay? And then I wanted to do the leaves. And I really liked the green leaf with the blue, I guess it's a flower-ish looking bead. So I did this. Okay? Now as I go, I have to push these beads up further on the board. And this is as open as I can go that you could see, so these beads will eventually kind of slide out of frame, but the pattern is just continuous all the way around. Okay, and then over here, okay, and then I did these over here, and then I did the beige leaf, I guess that's what I would call it. Okay, I gotta lay them down the right direction, so I'll pick them up in the wrong direction. So then I did this. That's so pretty. Okay. Now usually when I design necklaces like this, I change it a ton. So I was surprised to sit down and create this so quickly. And also I keep trying to do bead weaving projects with this box. And I kind of saw that I was not going to be able to do that with this box because I had a lot of large beads. Didn't really have weaving beads. Okay, so that's what I did. I put the beige with the green, and I put the blue with the green. Something like that. Okay, and then after I did that, I really wanted to use these here, and I'm like, well, how in the heck am I going to use these? I have 2 of each color. And so I realized I think I can group them. So if I grouped this together, I could put a bead here, and grouped these 2 together. Another one can go here, but I'll use a different color. Group these 2 together, and then I'll use the blue. So blue, green, blue right here. Okay, and then it would end with this. So again, alternating the colors. Blue, green, blue, green. So there's 2 groupings of flowers and leaves. Okay, makes sense? Okay, and then after I did that, I had to slide these up. So I'm gonna have to make space here. I will try to, I'll slide my board down. That's what I'll do. And then you could see the back of it. Okay, so then what I did is I had a nice amount of these beads here, and I thought, well, since I'm doing this alternating thing, I think I will go like this and put the blue beads beside the green. Okay, this is high up as my board goes, like this. And then I'll put the green beads beside the blue, so like this. Okay, and I did this with all of them. So there's a green one up here. See, so I put the blue beads here, and then the green over here. Okay, so alternate the colors. Okay, so I did all 4, and then I have to slide these up again because we're losing space here. So I don't really actually have a center piece. This necklace is continuous. There's no center. There's no pendant. I really like how it looks. It's pretty darn cute. Okay, so now what I did is I took the flower beads and I put them here, facing the white bead. Okay, I actually tried using the flower beads here, but I didn't have enough. So I had to put them with this bead. And I did this for each one of these rectangle beads. So I'll have to slide these up more. Okay, and I'll show you, I'll slide the board down. I'll show you what the back side looks like. Okay, I need one more over here. Okay, so 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, and then I have the one that's going up the back over here. And then what I did is I realized that I wanted to bring in these 5mm beads, and so I thought that I would break this color up with more light, the white, and so I put these on the sides of the flower, and I did this to all of them. So I'm just gonna do this real quick. So everywhere there's an oval bead, there is 2 5mm on the sides. Okay, over here's another one. Alright, I think I did all of them. Now I have 2 left. Here. Okay. Okay, so this is what I have. Is my camera falling? Please don't fall. Just like this. Okay, the 2 5mm on the sides of the oval bead. Alright, so I did that all the way around. And then I have to make more room, so I'm going to slide these beads up. I needed to add more beads because it's not long enough. And so I decided to do a pattern. I think I did this. I did this? I'm trying to remember. Maybe it was... Does it matter? green's touching. Okay, so I probably went like this. Yeah, I think I went like that. Okay, so I have the green bead beside the beige leaf. So green, blue, and this is between the two groups of flowers. Okay, and then I have this section here. Okay, and then this. So I have to put another one here. And I continued it. So after the beige, we did the green. So like this. Cause see, if I put the green here, the green would be touching the green leaf. Makes sense. I try to not have the same colors touching, but sometimes there's an area where I can't prevent it. It just happens. Okay, over here again. I still my beads are too close, so I have to slide them apart. Okay, so after the beige, I said I did a green, blue, green, blue. Okay, and then over here, so it's green, blue, green, blue. Okay, then when I did this, I realized I needed more white, and I had the English cut, so like, oh my gosh, this is turning out so well. And so I had to figure out the numbers. I had to play around and put these in different places because I had to make sure I had just enough. So what I did is I started over here. Can you see? Yes? Okay. I started over here and I put an English cut. And then I slid those up and I did another English cut. Slid those up. Another English cut. Oops. Okay, I'll slide those up. And I end up putting one here, but I didn't do it until I put 3 English cuts, 1, 2, 3, in this group of these long Lucerna bicones. So I went around and I did all of those first. So here, it's kind of weird that I can remember exactly how I did it. And you know, I wasn't like even in the moment. I think I was listening or watching something when I was working on this. Okay, here, and then again, because there's actually 4 groupings of this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So over here. Okay, now I still had some left over. Remember, there was 2 in that bag that I had. And so like, well, I think I should use more. And I'm like, well, I think I want to elongate the flower where I have the white flower. So the white flower starts here, and it's like part of the flower. So I put it there. Okay, and then another one. So then I continued, and wherever my little flower was, I put one where the stem would be. Okay, then over here, I still have to move this. I have like no space. Okay, right here, slide that up, and another one here. Oop. And then I have back here. So slide this up and put just like that. So there we go. My pattern is complete. Because I'm using, well, I say because I'm using beads with small holes, but I've used beads with small holes in those other continuous designs. But the thing is when I made those designs, the first necklace I made with the Czech beads, there was big holes in there, so I hid my knots. In those beads, you could not see any knots at all. You could not find the knots in that necklace. And then, of course, there's not knots in bead string wire. But the other ones that I did with the pendant, my knot was at the start of the pendant. And then I did it again, and I did bead dangles, and I did knots on the tails to make it extra fancy. But with this, I don't have a pendant. And so looking through all these beads here, I can't hide my knots in any of these beads. But the cord that I used these beads will fit onto that cord that I had used. And if you want, you can use that teardrop bead as a pendant, or maybe you have a pendant in your stash you want to use, or maybe a really nice large Czech bead. You can go to this here. This is where I would break the pattern and split it in half like this and get one of those extra English cuts and put one on each side and have a pendant in between this section if you wanted to do a pendant. But I'm not, I'm doing continuous. And so because I can't hide knots in this, I had to go with a smaller thread, and I'm going to use Fireline. And I'm thinking that Wildfire would probably be really awesome for this because it is a little bit thicker. I don't have any Wildfire, but I know that it's thicker because I've seen it at the craft stores. I've actually never used the stuff because I've always been a huge fan of this. But what I'm going to do to make this a little bit stronger is I'm going to double my thread. Now I discovered that this necklace finished will be 33 inches long, and so I'm going to use 7.5 feet of 8-pound Fireline. If you have 10-pound, use that because it is a little bit thicker. And man, I wish I had more 10-pound. I used to use that stuff all the time and I ran out. I haven't bought it since. But 10-pound is great. If you don't have that, you can use 8, and you can also use 6-pound if that's what you have. Look through your stash. But you do want to use a thread, a type of a thread for this. You don't want to use monofilament because it's too stiff. So we want this necklace to be soft, supple, very flowy. We don't want it to be stiff, okay? So again, I cut 7.5 feet of thread, and I'm using a size 10 beading needle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to string my needle on, and I'm going to find the center of my thread, and I'm going to fold my thread in half so that my thread is doubled up. And I just had the end, and I lost it. Okay, where the heck did it go? Okay, here's one end. So again, I have 7.5 feet. I'm gonna fold it in half, put my needle in the middle, and I'm going to show you how to thread a needle. It's very simple. So what you have to do, the trick is you have to flatten like the last 1/4 of an inch of your thread like that with your fingernail, okay, and hold it between your fingers like this and do this like peekaboo thing. You never want to have it sticking out and go like this. That's not going to happen. So I've always done it like this, and my needle's bent, so I find the eye, there it is, and I just go like this. Okay, and I put this between my fingers, and like magic, the thread goes onto the needle. And you have to flatten the end of your thread. And sometimes, like the thinnest monofilament, if you ever want to put needle onto a monofilament, I've only been able to put size 10 beading needles onto a 6-pound monofilament. But you can flatten the end with chain nose pliers to get the needle to go on better for you. Okay, so I have to find the center of my thread because I want this to be doubled. So I'm just pulling this through, and when I get to the middle, I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so I got my 2 ends to meet. I put on a bead stopper, and my needle is now in the very center of my 7.5 foot length of thread. If you're doing this with beads from your stash, you might just want to go ahead and do 8 feet because you might end up with a longer necklace. It depends. Okay, so we got the needle ready. Now I'm using my favorite seed bead, Miyuki Dark Bronze 11-0 seed beads. And by the way, my favorite place to buy Miyuki seed beads is Aurora Crystals. I feel like they have the best prices for Miyuki seed beads, so check them out. That's where I get most of my Miyuki seed beads, or should I say all of them. And I like to get my Czech seed beads from Shipwreck Beads, and where else? Rockin' Beads? I think there's another place, I can't remember it now. But anyways, those are my favorite places to buy Miyuki. Okay, so I'm going to start picking this up, but the problem is my pattern starts all the way back there. So I think I'll start on this side because that's further back. So I'll do that. Okay, so I'll pull this down, and I gotta be careful because I don't want to hit my board. It's hanging off my desk like 6 inches. I'm going to pick up 1 seed bead. Now I did string this. I first strung this just like this with no seed beads. And it was so bright and pale, I felt like I needed to bring in this color seed bead because of this bead. It just pulls this leaf in. So that's why I went with this again. You can't go wrong with antique bronze. Okay, so then another seed bead. And then the 5mm and a seed bead. And I just have one seed bead in between each bead. If you want a longer necklace, you can do more beads. You can do 2 or 3. Okay, and then another seed bead, another bead. And I feel so awkward picking beads up with my fingers. I much rather use a needle. And I gotta make sure that I put the flowers or the leaves on in the right direction, because I took a picture of my pattern and I went back and looked, and one of these leaves are going in the wrong direction. Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna try to lay this down somewhere. So that's my pattern, okay? And I'm probably gonna fast forward because I already showed you guys my layout. You know what? I think I can come over here and just pick these up. Yes, I can. Okay? So I'll probably fast forward this. Just make sure that you look back at your work and make sure you're strung up the beads in the right direction and that you didn't skip any seed beads, because I do it all the time. So I just accidentally picked up 2. I didn't see the second one jump on. But you know that little trick that they talk about? How you can take your pliers and crush the seed bead, right? Well, I've done that. And sometimes when I do it, it cuts my thread. So you're just best to undo it so you don't cut your thread and have to recut and string all your beads and waste materials. Finally got to the end, and there was like 3 times where I kept having extra seed beads jump onto my needle, because I would have it in the tray, right, and I'd go like this, and it would go down like between my fingers, behind my thumb, and I couldn't see it. And then I ended up realizing it and backed my needle out. Okay, so here are my beads. Now what you gotta do, I have to do this because I screw up so much, is you want to go back and make sure your leaves and your flowers are going in the correct direction. Make sure you don't have multiple seed beads. Make sure you're not skipping seed beads. Just make sure the pattern is continuous before you move on to the next step. It's very important. Alright, I am back, and I make sure that my tails, the 2 ends, and the loop that I have my needle going through, they're even. Okay, so it looks like this. I checked all of my beads. I did pick them up correctly. And I'm ready to tie knots now. Now you want to make sure you don't have any loops. Like, you want to make sure, you know, they're even. But you want to make sure there's no thread. It's like a loop thread sticking out. You just want to make sure that everything is correct. Okay. And then once it is, we're ready to tie our knots. And I actually have a little extra thread here. If you wanted, you could make it longer if you're doing beads from your stash. Really, you just need like 4 to 6 inches on each side in order to do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is lay this out, and I'm going to take my clip off. I don't need it anymore. And I do want to tie it like a big honking knot, but I want to tie it in a large hole bead because I'm going to tie it pretty large. So I'm going to take this seed bead off the end of here, and I'm just going to put it onto this side. So when I tie my knot, it's going to hide inside of this leaf bead, which seems to have the biggest hole. Like, out of all of these beads. How big is the hole in this one? Probably the same size. Okay. So I'm going to leave my needle on. I put my seed bead on this side. Okay, so I didn't break up the pattern. The pattern is continuous. I just put it on the other side. Okay. And I'm going to tie a surgeon's knot. So I just want to take these two ends and I want to lay this so that's open. Okay, hold it up. I just felt it slide down. Hold your strand up so your beads fall down. Okay, and then lay it so it's open and tie a surgeon's knot. So over and under one time, like this. I tie this knot all the time, and over and under twice. 1 and 2. Okay, pull this tight, stick your fingers in here, and pull this down. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. Hold slowly so that you don't get your seed bead caught in the knot, because that's what happens if you go too fast. Okay, so there's our knot. Now I'm going to check this. I want to make sure that it's not too tight, and it's not. It's perfect. Oh my gosh. I can wear this wrapped 4 times maybe around my wrist. That's what it looks like. And how strange that the beads are lined up. I can't tell you how many times I have made a necklace like this that I can also wear as a wrap bracelet, and I've never had the beads line up like this. It's like I did it on purpose. I did not do that at all. And just to see it, I have to see. Will it go on my wrist 4 times? And yes, it will. Wow, that's cool. And look at how the colors line up. That's crazy. Oh, here they are alternating. And so are those, but that looks good. Okay, I'm going to take it back off. So that's exciting. I had no idea that was going to happen. Okay, get back to the threads. Okay, so the knot's great. But I'm going to tie a second one, because if you pull this, believe it or not, this will unravel. So I'm going to tie a second surgeon's knot. Okay, pull it tight again, over and under 1 time. Over and under twice. 1 and 2. Okay, pull it down slowly so your seed bead does not get caught in it. Okay, now pull this one really tight. Now, what I'm going to do, the knot looks really good. I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to pass it through the leaf bead. So I just have to pull it this way so I can see the hole and go into the hole. I'll go through the seed bead too. And I'm going to try to hide my knot in there. It's actually not going in. I thought it would. But I think we're going to be okay, because our thread's white and this is light colored and you can't really see it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is tie another knot. So I'm going to go under this thread like I do when I'm bead weaving, and I'm going to tie a half hitch knot, but as you know, I've changed the hitch knot. Usually you go through, make one loop, or make a loop and you pass through it 1 time. I like to go through it twice, because 1 time is actually not that secure. Okay, and I'm in front of the seed bead, so go like this, pull this down, and hide your knot in the bead. So if you are doing this, you know, not with me, you're behind me, don't tie the surgeon's knot twice. Do this instead, because I can't fit it in my bead. I really thought it was going to fit in there. I don't think it's a huge deal. It might actually hide in the seed bead, we'll find out. But Yeah, just tie one surgeon's knot and then go through these beads. So I'm going to go through another one. Actually, I should have tied the knot there. I'm going to back up. I'm going to do this though so I don't get tangled. Okay. Then I'm going to go under the loop, or under the thread, make a loop. My thread's getting twisted. There we go. Okay. And go through this twice. Slowly pull this down, don't catch your seed bead, and I need to open this up because it's acting crazy, acting loopy I should say. Okay, straighten the knot out, pull that tight, and then go through this bead, and I'll go through the seed bead too because I like tying knots in front of larger beads when I have them, so the knot just instantly disappears. So yeah, the very first knot, tie one surgeon's knot. I totally thought two would work, but it didn't, but it's not that noticeable. So anyways, I'm going with it. Under here, make a loop, pass through it twice. And I just use up most of my thread doing this, and this is going to be crazy strong. Okay, go through here, and do it again. And I just try to go as far as I can until I can't tie any more knots. Okay, so I'm just going to finish doing this side because I need to take my needle and put it in the other side and show you how to do that side. And in order for me to do that, I have to cut the needle off. So I have to finish this side first. Okay, here's my last knot, and what I'm going to do is feed my needle through as many beads as I can. Careful I don't skip any seed beads. One more. Where's it at? Let's go at the seed bead. Oh, I'll do it right here. Okay. Just like that. Okay, so you never want to cut your thread at the knot because it can unravel. So always pass through beads. Okay, so just like this, that's my little tail I have, but it's pretty darn good. Pull it tight, cut it. Can't see the tail. Now I'm going to go to this side, and I'm going to thread both of these onto my needles. It's very easy. I've done this several times. I gotta get this little piece off. And what you gotta do, again, the trick is to get both of your ends, flatten 1/4 of an inch of the tail with your nails, okay, because the thread is round. Put these together like this between your fingers, and they will go on at the same time. Do it at the same time. Make sure they are like stacked on top of each other. Will go onto your needle. I've actually tied off a ton of bead weaving, like bracelets, with both tails. Like I'll get them to meet in the project. I'll literally stitch them to each other, and then I will hide them. Okay, so I went through the leaf. Now I have to go this direction. So I'm actually going to go through the first 3 beads here. Yeah, I think I'll tie a knot inside the flower. Now, the knot still does not want to hide, but it is kind of silly how it's the same exact color as that leaf bead. Do you see that? So it's pretty well hidden, I think. Okay, and then I just continue tying knots. And I did like I did the other side, and I use up most of my thread tying surgeon's knots, or not surgeons, half hitch knots, but I go through it twice. Traditionally you go through one time, which I think is kind of a crappy knot, but twice, that's where it's at right there. Okay, pull it down and go through 2 beads. Okay, so I'm just gonna use up my thread, and we'll be all done. Alright, so I just finished it just like I did the other side, and it is pretty much perfect. It turned out really great. My knot is visible, but you have to look for it. So, there it is. Okay, but it's actually like the same color as my leaf bead, so it's no big deal. Alright, but look at how the colors line up. I just think that's bizarre. I've tried making patterns like this where it does this in like memory bracelets and stuff, and it's kind of pain in the butt, but I didn't. I did it by accident. How cool. So I am very happy with this. And by the way, I've talked about synchronicities that I have all the time. So I'm filming this late at night. I've been working all day long. I have another tutorial to film after this, but I realized, because right after I made it, I tried it on, and right now I'm actually wearing tie-dye pajamas that match this. White, blue, and green. And like, what are the chances? These are like unusual pajamas, but they actually match the necklace. They are synchronized. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and remember, I'm going to link this box down there below in the description bar, so you can go and get this right now and make this. Come back to this video and make this project along with me, alright? So you will see the link for it down there below. And this is it. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and make sure you click the bell button so that you get notified whenever I upload new videos, and follow me on my social media sites. I'm on Instagram, Pinterest, and X. Thanks for watching.